Hi divers, and welcome back to another scuba diving reaction video. Today we're reacting to Dive Emergency Uncontrolled Ascent. Yikes. So an uncontrolled ascent is obviously the opposite to what kind of ascent we want, which is typically a controlled one. So if anyone's not a scuba diver watching this video, when we go scuba diving we always want to ascend the dive very slowly, ideally at 9 meters per minute, that's 30 feet for the Americans per minute, and that way it keeps us in safe limits so that we don't have to worry about decompression sickness, aka DCS, aka the bends. So it's just a really important thing to make sure we do on dives. So the fact they're going uncontrolled is a bit worrying, so they're probably going faster than the safe limits of actual ascending, and they run this risk of having this nasty injury at the end of their dive. So we're going to have to wait and see here what's actually causing this uncontrolled ascent and find out what they could have done to avoid it, if anything could have done better, and what things they do during the dive to try and mitigate this. As always though, with these kind of videos, it's not to be mean to the divers involved in these accidents, it's to use these as a case study so we can learn from it, so we can have safer and happier dives ourselves. And obviously I'm going to throw my expertise of being a scuba diving instructor to give you tips and tricks along the way as we watch the video. With that said, let's jump into the video. Okay, runaway ascent with 2 C's, lost weight belt. Oh, so lost a weight belt, that's why they had this uncontrolled ascent. We have seen that before, so we'll see how this goes. Ooh, fun words. The diver was noticed flipping around underwater. At first, he was thought to be simply playing. Okay, I'm going to probably go paragraph by paragraph and just kind of go over the points just to make it clearer, so there will be a little bit of pausing. Hopefully it's not going to be the whole video like this. But if you see some diver doing something a bit weird, looks like they're playing as it says here, check if they're okay. Just go over them, give them the okay signal, see if they actually are okay, or if they are just messing around, or if they actually have an issue. Because either they'd be like, yeah, I'm okay, I'm just being a goofball, or I've got a problem. And then you can intervene. Don't just go on the whole leave it to chance and be like, oh, they might be fine. No, go check. I swam over and asked if he was okay. Good. And he was pointed to his weight belt and then to the bottom of the ocean. Oh no. So yeah, he's lost his weight belt. I've lost it. It's down there. Depending on how deep they're diving, this could be very hard to retrieve. If they've got a shallow bottom though, or a visible bottom, which is within their depth limit, so this could be possible to retrieve. So it could be something they could actually fix themselves here. At that time, I dumped all the air from my VCD and grabbed his hand. Good. So this is a kind of form of anchoring. So if you deflate your BCD, that's taking all the air out of it, it's going to make you a lot more negatively buoyant. So then if you make contact with them, you're going to help keep them down and whatnot. On top of this, you could also deflate them, ideally. So if you get to the LPI, you can deflate that or get to one of the dump valves. So that would be good to see too. Don't know if I'm going to mention that in a second, but these are good things to be seen to do. I then signal to a dive master to locate and buddy up with one of the fun divers. Okay, good. So if you've got another dive master on hand or someone you're working with, they can then take over the dive. So while you're busy helping this diver in distress, they can actually be monitoring the group, make sure everyone else is okay, and if need be, continue the dive with them while you sort this diver out if it needs to be end of dive situation. So that's really good that you have that option to have another diver on site who can rely on. Which makes me assume this person's either also a dive master or higher, so they could be an instructor as well, or even further than that. So ideally, we should be seeing some good response because they are a qualified diver. We were ascending at a very fast rate, not good, just below the maximum rate. That feels like very much legal talk. Okay, we were definitely staying within limits. Insurance company listeners, we're definitely within limits. We were not going beyond limits. We're following diving standards, being very safe divers here. So definitely pay out for our diving insurance if we have an accident. Love it. Again, we can't tell this ourselves unless we see their dive computer. If we do hear beeping in the video though, that will be a telltale sign though that they're going beyond safe ascent limits. Once the diver was at 5 meters, I had to let go in fear of breaking the surface myself. Okay, this might sound like a move, but actually it's a good thing that he's done this. Simply put, you'd rather have one diver injured than 2 divers injured. So him letting go of this guy to get to the surface actually is a good thing because it keeps him safe. Essentially, stopping at 5 meters there, he's going to do a safety stop, which is going to reduce his chance of getting DCS. That's why I'm assuming he stops at 5 meters. So clearly, he definitely did go quite fast up if he's feeling the need to do this to look after himself. But at the end of the day, if you both went up to surface really fast and you both got DCS, you then would have to share resources. So you both have the bends, be on the boat, you both have to share the emergency oxygen, then also both have to go to a decompression chamber. It just creates a lot more headaches and a lot more hassle. And also it stops you actually being able to look after that diver if you're also in distress. If you're in a good safe state, you can then help them out afterwards. So even though it seems a bit mean here, it's actually a good call. Once the diver was on the surface, I asked again if he was okay, and he signaled back okay, thank goodness. Finally, I shot my DSMB to mark our location for the boat. Ideally, you should have done that before reaching the surface, or at least before they reach the surface, just so they're protected. anywhere where DSMB, which stands for Delayed Surface Marker Buoy, wherever they're needed, they actually usually have a lot of boat traffic there, and it's there to warn boats that divers are coming up to the surface so they can stay away from them. And it makes it very safe, because when you're on the surface without any like signaling device, it's very easy to get hit by a boat because they won't spot you because you blend in very well with the waves and the water. So it's not good that this wasn't deployed before the guy reached the surface. Could be very dangerous, could be arguably even more worse than getting DCS in some situations. So not great. And then it looks like the final paragraph now. On the boat, he was fine and suffered no signs or symptoms of DCI. Fantastic. So DCI, a bit strange way of asking that. So DCS and DCI are slightly different. DCS obviously is decompression sickness. DCI is decompression sickness with pneumothorax. Pneumothorax is just a fancy way of saying lung overexpansion injury. So that usually happens when someone holds their breath during the ascent. I don't know why this guy would be doing that. He should be breathing correctly. Even though he's got no weight belt, that doesn't stop how he's going to breathe or anything like that. So it seems weird that it says DCI, not DCS here, but we'll have to wait and see in the footage. Let's carry on. Just going to get a bit of water. Okay, so I guess that's the guy. Yeah, he is looking a bit playing, as I said. A little bit of music playing in the background. I'd rather just be pure audio, obviously, or just a dive. Oh, you can see him floating up now. And it's kicking down to try and keep him at the right depth. So yes, clearly he has lost his buoyancy. Oh, his alternate and his SPG looks like are hanging loose. Okay, just really quickly, that could be a sign that he set up his gear incorrectly before the dive. So he didn't set up his alternate, stowed it away properly. He didn't stow away his SPG properly, and that's why he probably didn't put on his weight belt properly as well, and that's why it came loose. Just assuming here, but usually it signals that kind of issue, and also signals that he probably didn't do proper buddy checks / safety checks before the dive. So probably a little bit going on there. Looks like trying to get contact with that buddy, so this is where this POV diver is going to jump in now to save and make the contact. Ask okay, approach from rear, move to rear in case diver panics. Smart. So yeah, we talked about this before. If you make contact with a diver who might potentially be in panic, it's best to approach them from behind, because then they can't reach you and attack you and potentially cause you harm, put you into a distress situation. So this is where you make contact. I'm guessing this is when he's deflated his BCD as well. I can't see him deflating the guy without the weight belt's BCD though either, which isn't great. Vigilant dive master able to communicate to another pro. So this is going to be the part where he tells his other dive master to look after the group for him. Yeah, so it's like, look after the group. That's good. So he tried to use LPI there. Because he's upside down and the hose has to bend like that, the air's going to get trapped actually in the hose part, so he won't be actually able to deflate, so he needs to use his release valves, because that's going to be ineffective. If you see him try to do that though, by the way, it's definitely a good sign that you probably should do that release for him on his dump valves. This control allows me to control the contact. Yep, so you're acting as an anchor, but I think he's probably still, if he's pulling up and while he's kicking down still, it signals that he still probably has some air in the BCD, and that probably should be deflated. Just thinking now, because obviously we know his DSMB doesn't get deployed till later. One of the things he could have done is got that diver to hold contact onto him so he has his hands free, and then he can deploy the DSMB himself while they're ascending now, so it's up on the surface before they reach the surface themselves, so it'll be safer for them both. But quite minor. Personal choice, at 5 meters I release, diver, halt my ascent. I think that's a smart move, as I said before. It's going to reduce his chance of getting DCS, especially if they have gone fast. I can't tell because of the music. I don't think I've heard any beeping though so far, so... all okay. That guy looks like he's passed out. I don't think he gave okay back to you, and he's like sparkers out. If you're on the surface, you should be like leaning back really. And now's the point of the DSMB, which, as I say, could have been done a bit sooner. Continue to monitor, watching the diver from below. Good. And hopefully he stays near your DSMB as well, because that's going to help keep him safe on the surface until you reach the surface yourself. And that's the video. Remember guys, if you like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button. I'm almost at 500 subscribers now, and if you want these people to keep watching my videos but hasn't hit that subscribe button, this is your calling to do it now. Okay, generally, I think that was a pretty good job. Generally. I do have some pointers here and there, so I'm going to go into that in a second. I do think the issue comes though probably from bad setup again. A lot of these actual problems we've noticed in previous videos as well, it's usually issues before the dive even starts is what actually causes issues actually when we get under the water. And here I got a feeling that this guy wasn't probably set up correctly before the dive. His alternate wasn't stowed away properly, his SPG wasn't stowed away properly, he might not put the weight belt on securely, and that's why he had the issues. And it also gives an insight that maybe they rushed their safety checks, maybe they didn't even do safety checks before the dive, and this is why this got overlooked, and then he had to try and fix it during the dive and end up losing the weight belts. So just going over like step by step now, let's just quickly just do a quick rapid fire review of it all. He went over to him when he saw him like kicking downwards, that was good, and then he deflated himself, which was good, so he's negative, so anchoring him. And also it says he moved around so he's behind him in case the guy might have attacked him at first because he's panicking, which was very well handled, very, very correct. And I think that's got like full marks in my opinion for that situation. One thing that it didn't seem to do was deflate the other diver. He was kicking a lot down. The diver without the weight belt obviously was wearing quite a bit of exposure, you can see the hood. So I don't know what if that's like 7mm of wetsuit, so it will be quite positively buoyant. But I still feel like there probably was some air in the BCD, so it would have been good for him to actually try and get to one of the dump valves to like deflate that for him to help reduce the obviously positive buoyancy, because the diver was showing no signs of actually understanding how to deflate properly, because he went to the LPI, which is incorrect here. As I pointed out, when you're upside down like this, the LPI hose will bend and it actually won't be able to deflate. The only way to fix that is either going 180 degrees and go vertical that way, and then you can deflate it nice and normally, or get to one of the dump valves. And most BCDs has one on the lower part, so if you are upside down like that, you can still deflate your BCD. So it would have been good to see him either tell the diver to do that himself or do it for him. He then goes to the dive master on the group and says to them to look after the rest of the group. That's obviously great. If you're handling a diver in distress, it's great so that you can put all your focus on them while you know the other people are going to be fine because they're being looked after as well by someone else. So that's fantastic. I will just say on an alternate side of things though, there are two things that dive master could have been told to do which might have been better. First one is to look for the weight belt. I could see the bottom there on that dive, so it might not have been shallow enough for him to go retrieve it. So he could have pointed out to the dive master, hey, look for the weight belt. And if he could retrieve it for you, he could then go up, give it to this guy, and then you wouldn't have to worry about this whole situation and would stop the ascent completely. The second thing you could have told him to do is deploy DSMB. You see you're ascending, you can't stop this ascent. Tell that dive master to deploy the DSMB for you because your hands are full or too busy. That way then you don't have to worry about that. You know you've got a safe exit from the water, and that would have made the whole situation a lot better. But alternatively, with that DSMB deploy, he could have actually done it himself. It's a little bit more clunky, but what you could have done is if you have a Wingstar BCD, is use the D-rings, which are typically like here on the body, and you can tell him to hook his hand into that or just direct it into there. And when you have both your hands free and available, so then you can deploy the DSMB yourself. Might be a bit clunky because the guy's in the way a little bit, but you should be fine to do so. I've done it myself. It's completely fine to do it in this situation while someone's hanging on to you. So then you know you have a safe exit for both you and that diver, and that would have just made the whole situation a lot better, because I think we underrate how dangerous these situations are where there could be boat traffic above on the surface. It's very, very hazardous, so it's really important that DSMB does go up before you actually get to the surface yourself. Another thing I just want to touch on is the fact about how the diver was actually on the surface. He did say he was able to communicate saying okay to them, but one of the things I would have preferred is actually that diver on the surface to actually be in the proper position, not like flat out on the surface, like leaning back so they're more upright, so they're more visible to boats. And also that then they could, if they did see a boat, they could wave and try and make themselves more visible, just so they're alert of what's going on the surface. Because there's no DSMB, no signaling device protecting you on that surface. It's really important you stay alert, so you try to reduce the chance of getting hit by a boat. I would just prefer that. It's a bit of a nitpick, but just a very small point I think could have helped here. But yeah, all things considered, as it says, no one got DCS or DCI even. That's really good to see that no one got injured, but this thing could have been safer, as I pointed out. There's just very small things, but in the end of the day, the dive instructor definitely did a good job here and helped save him. One other thing I could point out as well is that I find it a little bit strange as well that he wasn't able to keep him at depth. Typically, instructors and dive masters / guides will have extra weights on them. They'll be overweighted. This is just because if their clients need extra weights, they can then give it to them during the dive. So typically in this situation, this guy should be overweighted, so it should be able to hold him in position, which just makes me feel like either, again, this guy's super buoyant for some reason, why he's floating up so hard, even though he's kicking down. It just feels weird that he is getting pulled up to the surface. So either the guy wasn't having extra weights on him, which isn't the best practice if you're an instructor, and also the guy also probably didn't inflate his BCD. If you think I missed anything out in the video or have any extra thoughts, please leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed the video and found it helpful in any way, please give me a like. It helps me out a ton, but help other divers find this video too. And if you want to see more from myself, Narked Tom, feel free to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification icon to get notified when I post my next video. Anyway divers, I hope you have an awesome and safe dives, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye. Also, is it just me, but when he lets go of the diver to get to the surface, it reminds anyone else of like the Lion King when Mufasa gets dropped by Scar off the cliff?
Long live the king.
I don't know, maybe it's just my brain going into weird places with this one.